Every empire believes it has invented a new kind of money. Something unique, something permanent. But history has proven, time and again, that no empire escapes the same fate. Because money follows rules, deep, unchanging laws that care nothing for politics, promises, or optimism. These laws aren't written in any constitution, and they're not taught in schools. They've been discovered, forgotten, and rediscovered across centuries of crises. And if you don't understand them, you'll always wonder why the system feels rigged against you. Let's uncover the forgotten laws of money, from the debased coins of ancient Rome to the digital manipulations of modern central banks, and see why the game was never fair in the first place. It begins with Gresham's law. In the 1500s, Sir Thomas Gresham explained to Queen Elizabeth I that bad money drives out good. When two types of currency circulate, one trusted, one corrupted, people instinctively spend the bad and hoard the good. The Romans learned this when they diluted their silver coins with cheaper metals. Citizens weren't fooled. They paid taxes with the bad coins and hid away the pure silver. The same thing happened across medieval Europe whenever kings clipped coins or replaced gold with copper. The lesson was simple. When rulers debase money, trust dies and people adapt. But there's a darker twin to this rule, Thiers Law. Named after Adolphe Thiers in 19th century France, it reveals what happens when money truly collapses. Good money drives out bad. In Weimar Germany, as prices doubled every few days, people fled from paper marks into anything real: gold, dollars, cigarettes, even bread. The same pattern repeated in Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and other hyperinflations. Gresham's law describes the slow decay of trust in money. Thiers' law describes its sudden death. Between those two extremes lies another truth, the Cantillon Effect. Richard Cantillon, an 18th century economist, noticed that when new money enters the economy, it doesn't reach everyone equally. Those closest to the source, governments, banks, and elites, spend it first, while prices are still low. By the time it trickles down to ordinary people, inflation has already raised costs. The early recipients buy assets and property at yesterday's prices. The rest are left paying tomorrow's. This explains why money printing enriches Wall Street, but punishes Main Street. Why quantitative easing after 2008 inflated stock prices but not wages. And why stimulus checks vanished into higher rents and grocery bills. Inflation isn't just a statistic, it's a quiet wealth transfer, designed to move money upward while hiding the theft behind rising prices. And once the wealth has been siphoned upward, another mechanism locks you in place: financial repression. After World War II, governments faced massive debts. Raising taxes was political suicide, and defaulting was unthinkable. So they found a third way. They kept interest rates artificially low, below inflation, ensuring that savings lost value every year. At the same time, capital controls trapped citizens inside the system, unable to escape to better investments. This silent taxation let governments inflate away their debts, while citizens unknowingly paid the price. Today, the same trick continues. For over a decade after 2008, near-zero interest rates destroyed savers' wealth, while asset owners grew richer. From 2020 to 2021, it happened again. Rates collapsed, prices spiked, and ordinary people wondered why their savings bought less. It wasn't an accident, it was policy.
We have no choice but to act decisively now.
Yes, 3.5% should suffice.
Zoom out further, and you reach the laws that govern empires themselves. Robert Triffin, a Belgian-American economist, warned the US Congress in the 1960s of a fatal flaw in the global system. If the dollar became the world's reserve currency, America would have to export dollars, running constant trade deficits to supply the world with liquidity. In the short term, it worked. The world trusted the dollar, and trade flourished. But over time, those deficits weakened America's real economy. When Nixon finally ended the gold standard in 1971, the dollar became pure fiat, backed only by faith and force. The Triffin Paradox was born. To maintain global dominance, America had to hollow out its own economy. The reserve currency became both the crown and the curse. And every attempt to manage that fragile system only made it worse, as Charles Goodhart discovered in the 1970s. His law states, when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Governments love numbers. Inflation at 2%, unemployment at 5%, GDP growth at 3%. But once those metrics become goals, they distort reality. Central banks manipulated interest rates and printed money to target inflation, creating asset bubbles instead. Inflation stayed low on paper, but housing, healthcare, and education costs exploded. GDP rose, but only because of borrowed money and inflated prices. Goodhart's law exposes the illusion. When you manage the numbers, you stop measuring the truth. And finally comes the last and most brutal principle, the law of diminishing returns on debt. In the beginning, debt fuels growth. Borrow $1, get $1's worth of GDP. But over time, that dollar buys less and less, 50 cents, 25, then almost nothing. Eventually, the system runs on debt alone. The machine doesn't accelerate anymore. It just groans under the weight. The Romans debased their currency when their empire stopped expanding. The French monarchy borrowed itself into collapse before 1789. The British Empire drowned in post-war debt. And today, the United States faces the same reckoning. Borrowing buys time, not escape. When you put it all together, these are not just economic theories, they're survival laws. Bad money drives out good. Crises force people to flee into real assets. New money always flows uphill. Governments quietly repress savers to erase debt. Reserve currencies rot from within. And every effort to manage the system only deepens the instability. These aren't random events. They are the rhythm of financial history, the pulse that beats beneath every empire's rise and fall. The hardest truth is this: the game was never designed for you to win. You live under transparency. The elites live under secrecy. You file taxes, they shift assets. You hold cash that loses value, they hold assets that rise. Money isn't magic, it's governed by rules as hard as gravity. And unless you learn them, you'll always play blind. History doesn't repeat, but money obeys laws. And if you don't understand them, those laws will crush you all the same. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. History has the answers, you just have to know where to look.